Go Web. Go Web, go.
Up and away, Web.
So we said we'd do it. On our 50th episode of Ranked and Reviewed, we said one of the things we were going to get down to was we're here at Brass Tacks. We are here to do the Spider-Man franchise. And we thought, because we haven't got a lot of Spider-Man to rank it against to, as we are doing the first Spider-Man feature film in the series, we will also rank it against the previous MCU movies we have watched, including Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. So with that, I'm going to let our intro do the talking. Looking rough, but once it's done, that's going to be fly.
Yes.
So, we're here to continue our Ranked and Reviewed series, and this time we're going for the Spider-Man franchise. Now, as always, I am your host, TOMYE West, and joining me as always is my co-host, Spider-Man. He can only do what anyone can, ALANNIS Maximus.
Hello.
We're here today to talk about the 2002 smash hit, superhero hit, starring none other than Tobey Maguire, William Dafoe, James Franco, and in the third incarnation of this, Eric Foreman. So with that, let's get into our overview of Spider-Man 2002 before we get into our thoughts on Spider-Man 2002. Now, ALANNIS, as always, who's my half-mashed brain from my life and my stoner antics, I've forgotten to bring up the overview of this movie, so let's get the brass tacks for that. Alright, so, Spider-Man. Oh my god! Tell me what the problem is here, ALANNIS, right away. 12A.
Oh, really? The fuck is 12A?
That's it. We're Googling it. You know what? I accidentally... Dude, this is going to make you piss your pants. I'm so frustrated about this. Look at what I just Googled. Googling. I Googled Googling because I'm that upset about this shit. Alright, so hold on. 12A rating meaning. Films classified 12A and video works classified 12 contain material that is not generally suitable for children under age 12. No one younger than 12 may see a 12A film in a cinema unless accompanied by an adult. So...
PG.
Exactly. But never heard of it until just like last week. So anyway, let's continue. Spider-Man, 2002 that was its release date. Rated 12A. Fuck knows why. This was released June 14th, by the way. Runtime 2001 minutes. IMDb rating of 7.4 out of 10. The synopsis goes a little like this. After being bitten by a genetically modified spider, a shy teenager gains spider-like abilities that he uses to fight injustice as a masked superhero and face a vengeful enemy. This is directed by Sam Raimi, written by Stan Lee, who writes some Marvel comic books, Steve Ditko, who wrote the Marvel comic books, and David Coep, who wrote the screenplay. This stars Tobey Maguire, Kristen Dunst, William Dafoe, and James Franco, among many others. And this movie had a budget of $139 million. On opening weekend, just in US and Canada, it opened at $114.8 million. Grossed US and Canada total $407 million, and grossed worldwide $825 million, which back in 2002 was an extremely big feat to reach. Even though a lot of Marvel movies have overtaken that since. So, with that, we're going to get into our thoughts on Spider-Man. And just quickly, before we get into trivia and things like that, there's one thing I wanted to say before we get into our thoughts. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on the whole, how this movie was delayed due to the 9/11 tragedy.
That's right. They had to do reshoots because to take the Twin Towers out of the background, didn't they?
And posters as well.
I think there's actually a trailer, I believe, as well, where it was Spider-Man put web between the towers and caught a helicopter or something.
Yeah, well, it's pretty crazy, man, because this movie was set to come out at pretty close to the Twin Towers happening. I think it was delayed till the year after 2002 rather than 2001, especially because Marvel Comics was pretty close to ground zero where that kind of all happened, and they knew a lot of people there and things like that. Also, this was around the time that Grand Theft Auto got delayed because of that reason too. Grand Theft Auto 3 was delayed because of the Twin Tower thing. So, interesting little piece of history all wrapped into one. Spider-Man, GTA, and the Twin Towers. So, okay, with that, so, ALANNIS, your thoughts on Spider-Man 2002?
I enjoy this movie. It's interesting now, watching it back. I wouldn't say it's aged badly, but it definitely feels dated. Some bad decisions in this movie. I think the biggest thing I don't like is the Goblin suit. It looks like something out of Power Rangers. When you've got someone who's so talented with kind of contorting his face and looking like a fucking goblin, why you would cover Defoe's face up? It just never made sense to me. And he's even got on the record saying he was pulling all the faces underneath the mask, but you just couldn't see it. I think I didn't get that decision. And even when it came out, I didn't get that decision. It felt weird. It felt very 90s. And yeah, I think that's the main thing I don't like about this movie.
I have to disagree with you with one thing about it, and it's I don't like the outfit. I don't like the jet. I do like the mask. And that's because, look, it's not the greatest design for the movie. It's not the greatest design for the Green Goblin, but I know the person who owns the screen-used mask, prop from that. It's in a glass cabinet in his lounge room and shit, and that thing looks awesome in real life. I couldn't care less for the rest, and I know we're not quite there yet, but in Spider-Man 3, I almost feel like James Franco taking on the Goblin the way he did with his mask and thing almost is better.
Ooh, I don't know. I didn't like New Goblin. There's some stuff around that as to why I'm a bit, but we'll get to that when that movie comes in. It is very central to that.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, for a bit of trivia, I owned. Okay, so you know when James Franco throws the pumpkin bomb in his lab, I think.
Yes.
One, I owned that pumpkin bomb.
Oh, nice.
Screen used one. Pretty cool. So, keep going with your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it was all pretty well cast. It's probably the best Mary Jane we've had. I don't like the MCU one. I think it's it is a complete character redesign. I don't understand why they couldn't kind of have her as her own character rather than as Mary Jane, MJ, because her name isn't even Mary Jane. But Tobey Maguire as well. He's I do like him. He's the only thing I don't like about him is he's too old. Like he doesn't look like a teenager. Mary Jane doesn't look like a teenager. You can quite clearly see they're not kids, which I always thought was a bit weird. Like they look like people in their early mid-20s. Your sound has dropped out.
I think that Kirsten Dunst actually does not look too old for the part. I think that Tobey Maguire looks much older, and I think Kirsten Dunst, while she does look old, doesn't look old to the point that it makes you go, she's a bit old for the movie. Whereas Tobey Maguire, I do feel like he isn't a student-looking person, you know?
Yeah. There's one really cool thing in this movie as well that I didn't know about until recently. You know the scene where they have the tray and Spider-Man catches everything and catches MJ. There was no CG, no effects there. They did like something like 130 something takes until he did that without any effects. So I think that's pretty crazy. Could you imagine that? Like a day you're just shooting that one scene so that you can catch everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that was really cool. I really liked. Look, even my son, watched this movie and went, some of this CG's rough. You know what I mean? Like, mainly when he's swinging through the air and it's like fire shots and shit. Like, it looks like a PS2 game. But we've just finished watching all three of these. And 3 may be the weakest in a lot of points. 3 may be the least liked out of this trilogy. But my son loved the third one the most. But you got to remember that movie has a lot in it. It has the new Goblin. It has, it has, what was the other villain in it? Fucking Sandman. It has a lot of action in it, and the CG is done a lot better. The budget's bigger. It's got Venom in it, who my son was really keen to see some of Venom and things like that. And if you're not a Spider-Man snob or an MCU snob and you're not really too fussed about like cramming too much in or overcrowding the story, like my son thought Spider-Man 3 was the shit. And you know what? I totally forgot about the twist that happens in Spider-Man 3, and we're not going to talk about that right now, but all I'm going to say is that it involves the death of Uncle Ben, and I love that twist in Spider-Man 3, and I almost feel like the events that happen in Spider-Man 1 and 2 are revolving around Uncle Ben's death hit harder when you realize in the third one the twist that happened with his death. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
I don't actually.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it because I will cut it out or beep it. I just want to be able to hear your thoughts on it. So from here, remember how Spider-Man thought it was the dude killed him that ran away with the money?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so cut back. I think that part in Spider-Man 3 makes all of the stuff with Uncle Ben dying way more hard hitting. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it puts a bit more gravity to it, definitely.
How does that go? How does that plot line go when you compare it to like what's being done in the comics and stuff with his death?
I'm pretty sure in the comics it was always just pretty clear cut. It was just he gets shot. There was nothing really written into it too much. Like it's kind of a fixed point from what I know. Just the whole he gets shot. He could have stopped the crime. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, I don't think that's ever been changed too greatly.
Fair enough. And you know what? Like, I know she's not in this first movie too, but watching the 3, I'm just going to bring it up. I can't wait to talk about in the second one, next time, Gwen Stacy. Is she second or third?
Third.
I can't wait to talk about her because you know who that is, Bryce Dallas Howard
It is too.
from Jurassic Park, and she is hot. So yeah, okay. I think Tobey Maguire is good in this movie. Again, I have never been a big champion for Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I thought he was fine. I thought as you said, he's too old. And as much hate as I'm going to get for this, I liked Andrew Garfield a lot more when you compare him to. Okay, so maybe not like your normal everyday Spider-Man that you get to know, where he's like jolly, silly, funny, blah blah blah. Andrew Garfield has that, but I feel like he leans more on the serious, like problematic side of Spider-Man more than the jolly go fun side. And I also feel like that's why both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire did not nail the Spider-Man part because they weren't able to find a balance between that and that. Whereas I feel like Tom Holland found that balance of
Definitely
silly and sad and miserable and happy. Like he just found this way to be like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and to be able to take serious moments serious and to be the like jokester as well, you know. Whereas Tobey Maguire almost felt like he was always down, sort of nerdish, plain. Didn't like he had a couple of jokes and quips here and there, but wasn't the jokiest Spider-Man. I feel like Andrew Garfield had some good quips here and there too, and some cool little things he did that are funny with his like powers with his webs and things like that. But all in all, encompassing the whole of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, I do think Tom Holland does a better job than any of the previous.
Definitely.
Not to shit on Tobey Maguire's performance because he was the first out of all of them, and he did kill it. So, now my second question is: how do you feel about the villain they chose for this movie, except for the design? Apart from all that, are you happy with it being Green Goblin? Are you happy with William Dafoe as the choice? And would have you preferred to see more villains added, or a different villain added, or kept the same?
I think it's pretty perfect in terms of casting and the job Dafoe did. He nailed it. And I think also it really, like the whole Green Goblin thing set the tone for the whole trilogy as a kind of, it's the underlying thing. There's a story arc there that goes all the way through. So I don't think you would have had that element, and I don't think it would have been as impactful if they started it at the second movie. I think it was a good choice to have that. Because I mean, I'm fairly sure Sam Raimi had a vision at some point to at least have 3 movies. So he, I think it was well placed. It was the time it should have been there, and it was well delivered too. Apart from the suit, which is the only kind of.
How do you think Sam Raimi went handling these movies? Like not just the first one, but all 3 as like one story in one go. Like
it's interesting because they're really not Sam Raimi-ish. Like they're a lot different to a lot of his other work that I've seen.
I actually felt like Spider-Man 3 in this series probably was the most Sam Raimi-ish movie.
Definitely. Some of the scenes in that are very him. Like the hated dancing scene. Whilst it's cringy, it is also very Sam Raimi and kind of in some of the things it does. But I think at the same time there wasn't the room to be kind of grim or macabre in this, so he couldn't really bring out what he does best.
Which is what I think he tried to do with Topher Grace as Venom, and sort of how evil like the symbiote was on like attaching itself to people, and Peter Parker trying to rip it off and things like that in the third one. That's where he's sort of like Sam Raimi-ness kind of tried.
Yeah, definitely.
We're gonna pause until she shuts the fuck up. I'll be back in a sec, Mara.
Yeah, no worries.
So was there anyone in the movie that you felt didn't do justice?
I think it all set pretty well. I think I've always thought Flash Thompson wasn't really Flash Thompson-y. He didn't quite look right. He wasn't bad, but I think if there's anyone that was a bit of a weird casting, I think it was him. But he was also a very minor part. And he's been done worse as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was all done really well. Again, it's just funny that for some reason Topher Grace just, even though he's not the same person, he kind of remind. Is it? Yeah, it's Topher. It's Topher Grace. Wait, no. Am I right? Who's the main actor?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. It's just funny. That's what I mean. That's what I was about to say. I don't know why, but I always get those two dudes like.
They're very similar in their kind of mannerisms, I think.
It's very weird. I'm like, hey, it's Tobey Maguire. Wait, which one? You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, and it's just funny because you can't see when later on when we talk about it, you just can't see Topher Grace as anything but fucking Eric Foreman. But what would you say are the highlights of this movie?
I think the end fight is quite good, and it kind of, because it could be the same as the comic, still kind of shouts up to it. I think. I think the pacing is very good as well. Like, it moves very fast. Like, it doesn't hang around and kind of make you check the time and look around the room. It's I think even now, after it being out for 20 years and kind of just watching back on it after a while, it didn't drag at all. It wasn't like, oh, this bit. It's,
do you know who I reckon they should get as Spider-Man next?
Who do you reckon? Couldn't end badly at all.
No, it couldn't at all. All right, so I mean, I like this movie. I think it's great. In no way means do I think that this is the best Spider-Man movie. I'm just going to put it like that. But I definitely think it was a great introduction into us getting good Spider-Man movies, and I don't think this was a letdown of a movie at all. I think it was a very, very good, well done, successful movie. And yeah, there's not much to complain about with the movie except for it could use a little like sprucing up now that it's so old. Maybe sort of get a remaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But apart from that, look, great movie. As I said, not one of the best Spider-Man in my book, but we'll get to that when we review the others. And yeah, I don't really have much to complain about. I think it was all done pretty well.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say before we close off that section and move on to our next?
No, I am ready to put a fork in it.
Cool. Now, Alan, are you ready for your next fucking part or not?
I am.
Good. So, ALANNIS has a segment, and when he actually produces the facts in the segment, it's a great segment. So I'm looking forward to this segment because he's actually not going to be sitting there going, yep, did you know that Spider-Man? So, all right, let's get into it. This is ALANNIS' section. What you may have missed in Spider-Man 2002. ALANNIS, take the dance floor, grab that woman by her waist and her arm, bow her down, and then fuck her right in the middle of the dance floor. Go for
it. There was a couple of DC comic references in this movie. When he's first learning about his webs and trying to swing for the first time, I guess. He makes a Superman reference with up and away web. And he makes a Shazam reference with Shazam. which is obviously the power word. There's also a bit of a Batman reference when he's designing the costume that comes up saying utility belt, lose writ scribbled down, which some people may say not, but I think which fucking superhero has a utility belt? Batman. Eddie Brock, so Venom is kind of mentioned in the conversation with Robbie and Jameson. That's one thing I didn't mention. He's the perfect Jameson as well. But
I do. I love him. He's so funny. But isn't it weird how he became Commissioner Gordon in Justice League?
It's weird, yeah. I think he's a much better Jameson than Gordon, I think.
I love how he's like, she's like, your wife's on the phone. And he's just like, hangs up on it, like straight away and shit.
Yep. Another thing, Peter's high school, Midtown High, that's directly from the comic books. And my fourth one I actually kind of already said earlier on, Norman being impaled on his glider. And that whole end fight sequence is very reminiscent and kind of a call out to Spider-Man 122, I think. Yeah. That's about all the major things that you may have missed.
Cool. So that has been what you may have missed with ALANNIS Maximus. So, with that, we're going to move on to our trivia section. Now, this is some things in the movie that you may have seen or not seen. It's kind of similar to ALANNIS, but also features more heavily on things you may have not have known about the production of the movie or things that happen behind the scenes. So let's check that out. Now, let's begin with this one. This is pretty cool. William Dafoe performed 90% of his own stunts. The first film to gross $100 million in its opening weekend alone. At the time, no movie had done so, even with adjusted for inflation. Tobey Maguire said he had never read a Spider-Man comic book, but took the role because he liked the script. The first Marvel movie to showcase the flipping pages Marvel logo. Hugh Jackman revealed that he was supposed to be have a brief cameo of his Wolverine. Jackman actually showed up in New York to film the scene, but the entire plan was scrapped when the crew couldn't get access to the Wolverine costume from X-Men from 2000. By signing on for 2 sequels, Tobey Maguire secured himself a paycheck of $26 million. Dr. Octopus was in the early draft of this script to appear as the second bad guy. Later on in pre-production, it was decided that he would be reassigned to Spider-Man 2, which came out in 2004. We will do 2 more. Released in 2002, the year of Spider-Man's 40th anniversary, and scenes of the New Yorkers throwing trash at the Green Goblin and Spider-Man perched alongside the American flag were added after September 11, 2001 to reflect the sense of the city's sense of unity and patriotism after the September 11th attack. So, we're going to skip our usual other sort of segment, and that's goofs. And that's because from now on, I'm going to do some pre-planning and get the best goofs in order, so we're not reading through garbage and wadding through shit till we find some decent trivia. So that'll start as of next episode. So, with that, we're going to move straight on to our ranking. And now, you guys might be like, well, what the fuck are you ranking Spider-Man against when you haven't done any more Spider-Man movies? Well, as I said at the start of the episode, we're going to be ranking it against the MCU movies we have done so far, which so far involves this, Wakanda Forever, and Black Panther. And we will also be doing that a separate ranking as well for all the Spider-Man movies going forward. So going forward, you'll have 2 rankings from each of us. One from each of us ranking the Spider-Man movies against the other MCU movies we review, and one from each of us ranking each Spider-Man movie against each other to see where we think those lay. So, for now, right now, obviously, our Spider-Man ranking looks like this.
Wow. It's weird that we're so similar in our taste there.
It's really weird, man, that you put Spider-Man number 1 and I put Spider-Man number 1.
Yeah.
You're always wrong, man. And let's take a look at what our ranking looks like for this movie against Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, for all you people listening at home, without watching, the ranking goes like this. TOMYE, Spider-Man at number 1, Black Panther at number 2, and Wakanda Forever at number 3. And for ALANNIS, it goes number 1, Spider-Man, number 2, Wakanda Forever, and number 3, Black Panther. So, that has been our Spider-Man ranked and reviewed episode. Coming up next week, we will be reviewing Spider-Man 2 from 2004. And continuing our video game movies ranked and reviewed series with our review of Tomb Raider starring Lara Croft. And then the week after that, we will be doing Tomb Raider 2. Is it something of life? Cup of life?
I can't remember. Something of life.
Terrible movie of life. And we also have coming up very shortly in the next 3 weeks, we have Avatar Way of the Water. So we will be doing our Avatar review, our first, for the first movie, we will be doing that. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Oh, also, remember, we are currently working on a ranked and reviewed series, a proper scripted series. It's still going to be ranked and reviewed. We're still going to be ranking movies, but there are going to be a plot surrounding both of us and our location and everything. And each episode will kind of continue on from each other while we review a movie during that episode. So keep an eye out for that. We also have a lot of pop culture stuff coming up. And we also have our music podcast back going again. So make sure you head to www.facebook.com/Loud Media Podcast and check out everything there that we've got. Go to www.youtube.com/Loud Media Network to subscribe and check out all our other videos. And yeah, is there anything you would like to say before we get the fuck out of here, Alana? Oh, also, quickly, remember, we also, early next year, mid next year, we'll be releasing a Red Dead Redemption ranked and reviewed video game special series where we will be ranking Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption, and Red Dead Redemption 2, as well as presenting it in documentary style format, making it more of a ranking, reviewing, and retrospective, as well as B-roll, information about production, sales, everything. It's going to be a big, big project alongside our new ranked and reviewed series called Ranked and Reviewed Goes to Hell. So is there anything else you'd like to add on before we get the fuck out of here, Lana?
Walter Goggins.
Walter Goggins. Go, Walter Goggins, go. Up, up, and away, Walter Goggins. So, remember, if you listen to our podcast, you like it, if you are enjoying what we do, please subscribe, turn on notifications, comment, leave a like, share, do all that fucking bullshit, and it will help us out a lot. And remember, our podcast is suitable to listen to in every circumstance, whether it's when you're home cleaning, when you're playing video games, don't require you much attention, like, COD or something, you can chuck us in the background. Whether you're walking your dog, you can listen to it while you're walking your dog, driving your car. If your aunt dies and fucking, the whole family's crying and upset and you're at the fucking funeral, just chuck your headphones in and fucking pump our fucking ranked and reviewed episodes.
If you're reading the dictionary in the nude and you close it too fast without realizing your junk is actually in the middle of the dictionary, listen to our podcast.
And if you're pregnant and you miscarriage, just listen to our podcast. No wonder why we're going to hell.
Yep.
Anyways, everyone, thank you for watching Ranked and Reviewed this week, and we've got a lot more content coming out for you. Also, quick apologies for the lack of content that we have had coming out. We had not released an episode up until 2 days ago. since Wakanda Forever, and that is very unlike us. We've had a lot going on, me personally. But we're getting back on the horse. We have just released our Assassin's Creed review, which, if you want to go see a disgusting, vulgar, rude, angry, shit on movie review, go check that out. If you would also like to check out our first birthday episode, go check that out because that's up now as well. Did you know that? You knew that was up, yeah, ALANNIS?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So, a lot of content. Go check it out and keep supporting us. We love you for it. Thank you, everyone, for watching Spider-Man Ranked and Reviewed and Up, Up, and Away podcast. Up, Up, and Away, penis. All right, guys. Peace out.
Peace.
My webs aren't working, man.
You've got a blockage.
That's all right. Don't worry. I can get him somewhere else. All right, dude.